My name is Francis Njiri, and I am a scientist for all intents and purposes, and that is how JAVI RIDE came to be. It is a product of some work we have been doing in my company called JAVI Research Support Services Limited, and in the process of our work, we came to realize that drivers in this country are facing very many challenges, and they keep going on strike and complaining about the price of their rides, their security, their ability to get money when they have completed rides. And we looked at those things and decided to look for a solution. So that is who I am. My background is research. I still do research up to today, and I'm very proud of it. So number one, it is the ability for people to negotiate for the ride price, because in Africa, that is the way we trade. That is the way we do business. There's nothing that really has a fixed price. Many of the things that we end up buying, you have to negotiate, you have to haggle. And that is one of the things we wanted to introduce in the taxi business. The other thing which we wanted to introduce is the ability for people to pay cashless. Like, you don't really need to keep carrying money around for you to do a taxi ride. And this is a model that has been applied in many other places. The Nairobi Expressway, for instance, is a place where you put money and then you consume it. Much older than that are the airtime that we buy for our phones. You buy the airtime and then you consume, and when it is done, then you top up. So that concept is not a new one. The other place where we use that is electricity. We buy electric tokens and we consume them. So we really wanted to introduce that concept in what we do. And the beauty of that is that when you have that money being available for your ride, then the driver is assured of a payment, because that the way you have set up the wallet, when you are in an active ride, you cannot withdraw money from that wallet as a passenger. And before you travel, you have to have sufficient money that is covering the ride price that you have agreed with the driver. Drivers were complaining a lot about the price, and for sure it was a serious issue. I myself had taken rides many times, and at the end of that ride, when you see the amount of money that the driver is requesting from you, you actually wonder whether they are in business, because a journey maybe of 10 kilometers and the person is asking you for 190 shillings. That's just slightly over $1. $1.50, $1.5. But when you look at the effort that person has made, the vehicle, fuel, the wear and tear, the time of the driver, you actually wonder whether they are really making any business. And you end up topping up. You end up adding a little bit more money on top of what they have asked. And it's a very strange way of doing business, because it's not really tipping. It's actually feeling pity on the person. As opposed to what we are used to, tipping someone. This is not really tipping. This is wondering whether the person is really making any money. And to me, that sounded very strange. Because, for example, if I come and sell to you an item and you ask me for the price of that item, and when you are examining the item, you offer me a higher price than what I requested, I'm not sure whether that is still business. So we looked at that and we thought, suppose this willingness to top up what the driver is going to earn can be agreed ahead of time, that would make that trip even more enjoyable for the both of them. The other thing is the beauty about using a wallet is the fact that when you pay a driver cash, the cut that is supposed to go to the owner of the app, it still needs to be remitted by the driver. So you will find at the end of the week or the day or the month, wherever the app owner demands payment, this person is actually, the driver is actually in debt because they owe the company for which the app they are using some money. And we all know the fluidity of money. Money is very hard to keep it, especially when you have it in your pocket or in your M-Pesa. So the wallet enables, at the point that the ride is complete, the money that is supposed to go to the app goes to the app, the money that is supposed to go to the driver goes to the driver. That way, what the driver really has in their wallet is the net. They will never receive a call, oh, you are going to disable your app or whatever. And they can sleep soundly at night and keep looking at their balance, the way you look at your bank balance, and see how much they have. So those are some of the issues that we really wanted to solve. I mentioned about doing business the African way. The other way of doing business here in this part of the world is to reduce the cost for everybody by pulling resources together. I want you to imagine the situation we are in, particularly in the capital cities in the African countries, where a lot of time is wasted in traffic. And some of the people who are contributing to traffic are just little cars carrying one person each, just queuing in traffic. So, and that's waste of resources. And we thought, suppose these little cars that are just transporting one guy from one side to another and then picking another one, then going waiting somewhere, suppose they are able to go picking people who are along that particular path, and these people just continue adding a little bit of money, and for the people who are already in the car, they are shielded, like their fare reduces. The more passengers come in, their fare is reduced because of the discomfort of having to sit next to other people. So they choose, do they want to be comfortable spreading their legs all over in the car and pay more, or do they want to squeeze with other people within the capacity of the car and pay less? Africans need that kind of a choice, and we offer that and this is what we are calling carpooling. The model that we have for carpooling is very interesting. When a passenger requests for a ride, they have to say whether they want a private ride or they want a ride where they can carpool with other people. And the carpooling will be restricted to just up to the destination of this initial passenger. We call them the index passenger. So that is how the restriction is. So if they say they are indeed willing to share, then once the driver arrives, the ride has started, it is interesting to note that the person who will actually see additional passengers is not the driver. It is this initial passenger who booked the ride and found the car empty. And as they progress on their journey, they're able to see. And in the same way that they negotiated the price with the driver, they are able to negotiate with these new passengers that they find along the path. And the only thing that the driver does, when a negotiation has started between this index passenger and the new passenger who has been seen, they are notified. The driver is notified. There is some negotiations that are going on so that they can agree with the passenger. Do we slow down? Do we stop somewhere so that you conclude these negotiations? Or how do we do this? And once they agree on the price, a notification is sent to the driver, because really the car belongs to the driver. So a notification is sent to the driver, and the driver can either accept or reject that particular request. I would expect that most drivers would actually accept, because that means more money. It is also interesting to note that for any negotiations between the index passenger and a new passenger, what the benefit besides being the ones that are negotiating, the benefit there is 30% of what they negotiate actually goes to reduce their original ride price. And therefore, as an index passenger, you have to negotiate well. Because I want to give you an instance where a ride, the original ride is 1,500 shillings, and you get a passenger along the way who's willing to pay 1,000 shillings, and that means 30% of the 1,000 belongs to the index passenger. That means that at the point where the second passenger is alighting, they pay the driver 1,000 shillings, all right, but that 30% of that, which is 300 shillings, goes to reduce the ride price of the index passenger. And therefore, that index passenger, instead of paying something like 1,500 shillings, they end up paying 1,200 shillings. So their ride price has reduced. But on the other side, for the driver, the ride price, the collection of income along that journey increases significantly, because they have the 1,000 that they have been given by the second passenger, and now they have been given another 1,200, and they end up with 2,200 instead of 1,500. So that is the model that we have with JAVI RIDE, and as you can already tell, that is the way we do business. That is the way Africans do business. We are also happy to report that this is an app that has been developed by Africans themselves, and to be more specific, by the group of Generation Z that we keep calling Gen Zs. They are the ones who have developed it. All we did is give them the idea that we have. We gave them the specifications for the system that we are intending to have. We gave them the details about the solutions that we want to solve, like the problems that we want to solve, the solutions that we are seeking. And we, using the business analysts were able to interpret what we were saying into a language that developers can understand. And they came up with requirements documents, they came up with a technology stack, and we walked the journey for a period of 10 months just trying to build that system. And therefore we are very, very proud that now it is out. It is actually being used by drivers. It is still in a small scale because it is a growing. We are still sensitizing the communities that would use that. But we feel strongly that this is going to revolutionize the way taxi business is run in this part of the world. And by starting here in Nairobi, we are hoping that we can extend that to the other cities, to the other places around the country of the Republic of Kenya, and then extend that to beyond the borders, to the other African countries who do business the same way. Now, we already said that the passenger has a choice, because this is negotiations. So you have dramatically reduced the conflict between the driver and the passenger. Now, when the passenger is requesting the ride, I think we have seen in the past, when you request a ride with the typical apps that we've been having, you always receive a call from the driver asking you, where are you going? And that's a very annoying question, because you'd expect when you told the app where you are going, the driver is able to see where you are going, and therefore they do not need to call you to ask you that kind of a question. And we all know the reason why they ask that kind of a question is because they want to make a decision when you have answered that question, whether they want to go there or not, and probably start negotiations and tell you, oh, you know, now we can go off the app, stories like those. But at the point of request, you declare who you are, where you are going, how many you are, whether you have a luggage, and whether you are willing to share that car with other people. And therefore, there is transparency. You know that the driver already knows a lot about the ride, and you are relaxed. So the moment you see a driver accepting, your heart is settled. You are not waiting for stupid questions to be asked on your side. And you know the next step after that is to negotiate for a price. And again, for the passenger, that is very beneficial, because you can actually say that this is the money that I have. Take it or leave it. So, and if the driver is willing, then you are home and dry. If the driver is unwilling, you don't waste your time. You move on to the next one. And you're more likely to get a happier driver, because by declaring where you are going, you might actually find a driver who actually intends to head that direction. So you'll be traveling home to your destination with somebody who originally actually intended to go that direction. The other thing is that because of the wallet, then it means that you don't really need to have cash on you or think about change or those kind of things, or worry about the payment or things like those. You know very well that by the time you are agreeing with the driver about the price, you know that is not going to change and it's already in your wallet, and then you travel. And by keeping also resources within your wallet, you can actually put resources there and hold them there so that you use that for all your travel intentions. You can plan like in a month or in a period that this is the money that I am planning to use for rides, and you put that money there so that you don't have to worry every time, oh, I need to travel, I need to top up my wallet. So that headache is already removed. And the process of payment at the completion of the ride, there is nothing like PIN. Immediately you have logged in, you have requested for a ride, you've already authorized payment to be made at the end. All you need to do at the end is very easy to do it, is pay, and money is transferred from your wallet to the driver's wallet. The other advantage is that it has the app has an SOS button. It has an SOS button on both the driver and the passenger side. Scenarios where passengers have been harassed or they have been not taken to in the way they want, or stuff like that. And our app has 3 levels. The first level of security is just mild. What you are reporting is that the ride is not going smoothly. It is going all right, but it's not going smoothly. You are not happy, or something is not going the way you would expect, or things like those. So that's the first level. The other part is the second level is that the ride is not going on. Like you have hit a stalemate. Along the way, the car has broken down, or something has happened, or you've quarreled with the driver to a level that now the ride must stop, or now the driver is telling you get out of my car, or things like those. That is also there. And immediately we pick something like that, we have responders on the ground who can come to your rescue, and therefore at every time you feel safe. The other level is the severe level, where your life is actually at risk. And once you press the SOS button, it actually asks you to choose how severe is your situation. So if it's mild, the office is able to receive your message and act on it in whatever wisdom they may choose to use at that point. When it is at the second level, the office will send you someone to rescue you or to solve the problem that is on the ground physically, so that you are resolved. When it is the severe level, that becomes a police issue, and we transmit that information in real time to the police and tell them there is this particular situation, and because we are tracking the vehicle, we are tracking the ride, then we are able to detect the exact location. So you can sit back and relax and and enjoy your ride. The other thing, particularly for people who want to put resources for their children or their spouses or their loved ones, you can put those resources in the wallet, and people can use those resources at will. So you don't need to look for money. You can transfer from one wallet to another, and so on and so forth. So for the passenger, there's really a lot. And you are doing business the African way. You feel like you have some control, because the driver is not just dictating to you the price that they want. You also have a say. So we'll watch it fast, because as you know, this business of online taxis is a business that thrives better in the cities, because that's where there is a lot of mobility and people need to move from one point to another. But I may not be surprised if this extends. For instance, we'll be launching the Boda app very soon. If this extends to other modes of transport, long distance, maybe even people who are in the village, as long as they have a vehicle that they can do that. And we envision a situation whereby some of the people who own cars can buy temporary licenses for PSV if the government allows, and they can be converting their vehicles temporarily as PSVs. And we think the government, if the government is willing to introduce something like that, it would not only be a new revenue stream for them, but it will enable the population to conduct business. It's a business revenue stream that has not been pursued. And because now we have technology, the government can be able to do those things electronically. So if you want to buy a temporary PSV license, all you need to do is go online, pay for it, and start doing business, so that you are also authorized. So it's going to grow. For now, you want to focus on the cities, but we can see it growing exponentially to cover other areas of mobility. So drivers, finally, your problems are solved, because you have cried a lot. Many of the apps that you have interacted with are owned not locally. So here you are with a local app, and I want to invite you to try it. I want you to try it and see how does it compare with the other apps. And I guarantee you, with this JAVI RIDE, you are going to make more money in a faster way, less stress than you have witnessed previously. The other thing I want to tell passengers is that, people like traveling together. Can we just use JAVI RIDE and travel together at a lower cost? And that way we continue conducting business the way we've always conducted it. And of course, for the people who want to continue doing private rides, that option is still available. So it's open for all, and that way then we can all be happy. Thank you very much.